Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with the dogs today. And with the dogs, there's Whiskey. There are birds free-ranging over that way, and there's a couple birds still in the pen for whatever reason. And there's some birds in the horse pen. They're all over the place right now, playing on the logs and stuff. Ducks. Quail. And today we're just going to talk about livestock guardians and how long it takes to train them. Because it takes a long time. So for perspective, Tequila is not 2 yet. She turns 2 in January, and right now it is October. So she'll be 2 in just a couple of months. She's almost 2. Vodka there is only a year and a half. Okay, he's 5 months younger than she is. So they're not adults yet. And it's important to realize that when you're dealing with livestock guarding, and having to teach your livestock guardians how to guard livestock, especially poultry, because not all of them take naturally to poultry. But part of needing to train your livestock guardians is needing to wait, is being patient, is letting them grow up. Because all dogs have a puppy phase. I don't care what breed it is. All dogs have a puppy phase. Livestock guardians, being a larger dog that takes longer to, there's radio on, but livestock guardian dogs that take longer to mature have a longer puppyhood. So you often hear people tell you it takes 2 years to fully train your livestock guardian, and they're not wrong. It does take 2 years. So they're not fully adults yet. They still are puppies. They still want to play. And learning to not play with the birds takes a while. Okay, so you are going to be gently, carefully, but insistently correcting when your livestock guardian goes after the birds. That was actually perfect timing. So she's not going after the birds. She just kind of wants to chase them a little bit. She doesn't want to hurt them. She wants to play with them. But part of the later phases of livestock guardian training is teaching them that we cannot play with birds. You can play with the horse, and they like to play with the cats. That's why Vodka's going to play with Wildfire. They really like to play with the cats. You can play with the horse. They even play with our older rabbits, not our baby rabbits. They can run around with the older rabbits and have fun. They can't play with poultry. So neither one of these guys wants to hurt birds. They would never hurt the birds. They're not going to hurt the birds. But their idea of what's fun to do and a bird's idea of what's fun to do are very, very different. So it takes a lot of time for them to grow up, to grow out of that, I want to play with everything because I'm a puppy. They're still puppies. I know they're big. Okay, Vodka's 150 pounds. I know they're big. But they still want to play. So there is still a lot of, as they get older, as they get to that 18-month mark, where you're going to intervene, and you're constantly going to be like, she wasn't doing anything bad, so I'm not going to say anything, but you're constantly going to be stepping in front, telling them no or leave it or whatever command you use. It's not going to be as constant as it was when they were puppies, obviously, because they're not babies anymore, but they're still in that teenage phase. So just like a teenage human, teenage dogs are not quite ready to just do whatever. They still need guidance, just like my teenage humans need guidance. So you have to be patient. It is going to take 2 years. And so would I leave these guys 100% unsupervised with the birds? I occasionally do, I'll admit it. I probably shouldn't, but I occasionally do. They're not going to hurt the birds. Okay, they're absolutely not going to hurt the birds. And she just wants Tristan to pay attention to her, and Whiskey just wants to roll. And he just wants to stand here being Vodka. But they're not going to hurt the birds, I'm confident in that. But they sometimes will run through the birds, because that's fun. So I do need to be present to tell them not to do that, and it'll eventually stick. They're not stupid. It's just, they're babies. They're puppies. They're not babies, but they're still in that teenage phase. So they still want to do what sounds like fun. And running through a bunch of birds that are going to flap sounds like fun. That sounds like fun for me, and I'm a fully fledged adult human. So it takes time. You need to be with them. You need to be willing. He's not doing anything bad, but you need to be willing to step in front and tell them not to do that, and tell them we're not going to play with the birds, because birds are not wanting to play with you. It's not that they're going to hurt them. Now, obviously, I can't speak for your dogs, but my dogs are not going to hurt the chickens. They are going to want to play a little bit. And for a couple of years, you're just going to be reinforcing, the first couple years of their life, reinforcing we don't play with chickens. And it can be really confusing because they're allowed to play with each other. They love to play with Shadowfax. They like playing with Arwen. They play with the boys and they play with Whiskey, and they'll play with my dad and my mom when she comes over. And it's fun. It's big games. Big games. Right? So they love to play. It can be confusing when the only thing they're not allowed to play with is the birds, but that's okay. That's okay. They do pick it up eventually. Eventually they figure out, I don't play with the birds, I can go play with the pony. Here comes Tequila. So it's completely normal for your dogs to make mistakes in that first couple of years. Don't expect your year-old or your 18-month-old livestock guardian to be perfect. It's going to take a full 2 years. 1, for the puppy hormones to die out a little bit. And 2, just to kind of understand we're not going to play with the birds. We don't play with the birds. You make sure you reinforce that. You're not allowed to play with this kind of creature or that kind of creature, whatever you don't want them to play with. But, I mean, they love to play with Shadowfax. They just love it. We let Shadowfax out and he and the dogs will just play in the yard for a long time. They just love playing with him. And he loves playing with them. They think running together is excellent. Yes, you do. So have a little patience with your livestock guardians. Know that when you get that puppy, and you should get a puppy, getting that puppy is, one, they're cute, and there's a lot of time to bond to your dog. And there's a lot of time to get that dog to bond to your flock, who's in the bush right now. But it is really important that you're patient, that you are willing to take the time to teach your dogs, to make sure that they are appropriate with the livestock they're guarding, and to make sure they're behaving the way you want them to behave. Will they make mistakes? Yes, they're going to make mistakes. You cannot expect perfection. You just need to intervene and let them know that that is unacceptable, which is what we do. It's unacceptable, and eventually they actually grow out of it. They do, because their instincts take over. But puppies, man, puppies are crazy. That's why it's good to have 2. They can play together. And Whiskey plays with them too, but he's an old man. He's going to be 9 in January. So he's an old man. So half the time he just kind of sits here. Just turkey in a bush. Anyway, I just wanted to reiterate how long it takes to train your livestock guardians, because I get a lot of questions about that. That was me you're bumping. But I get a lot of questions about that because it's not overnight. Too many people get a livestock guardian and 2 weeks later they're like, well, why isn't this working? You haven't allowed enough time. It takes 2 years. Your puppy needs to grow into an adult, and then they're ready to really do the job. These guys aren't even fully adults yet. We're getting there. Everyone gets there eventually. Okay? Now they're excellent. They're wonderful, but they're still teenagers and they need to finish growing up. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Don't rush your livestock guardian dogs. They will get it. We'll see you tomorrow.